Hello everyone, welcome to The Good, The Bad, The TNA Impact for Impact Wrestling, January 5th, 2012. I'm obviously filming this on January 6th and it will be uploaded then, but we'll digress from that. This is obviously the first show of TNA Impact for 2012, and it's also the final show going into the Genesis pay-per-view. And I feel that this show itself, I'm going to keep this short this week. I'm not going to really talk too much, but I feel that this show was actually very good going into the pay-per-view. It's one of those aspects that they went into the pay-per-view, they're going into the pay-per-view, and they touched base on most, if not all, the matches that were going into the going to happen on the pay-per-view. They added a little bit of a tidbit to each storyline going into their pay-per-view matches. The only match they didn't touch on, and honestly, I know it's part of the lower card, but it would have been nice to have maybe at least a 30-second tidbit of the Pope and Devon storyline continuing into the pay-per-view to try to add a little bit more and, you know, get people behind that match going into the pay-per-view as well. I mean, I know it's part of the lower card, but it would have been nice if they could have given it a little tidbit. They didn't. But like I said, they focused a lot more on all the other matches, and every match that happened, and pretty much every match and every segment happened with some emphasis of going into the pay-per-view match or doing something about the pay-per-view. You didn't have too much of filler time, or not necessarily just filler time, but, you know, stuff not revolving around the pay-per-view coming this Sunday. And for go-home shows, that's what I prefer to watch, is something that's going into the pay-per-view to try to hype you into purchasing the pay-per-view itself. So they did a good job on all that aspect. I mean, the only real non-pay-per-view area was the whole ODB Eric Young thing they were doing the backstage segments with, but he's pretty much there for comedy purposes, and they did have a little bit of time for filler. Maybe they could have put the Pope and Devon in those spots instead, but they used Eric Young and ODB instead. All in all, that made me... I personally enjoyed the show because they were building the storylines into the pay-per-view. Once again, pretty much what you would expect from TNA, though. In-ring action was extremely well done again tonight, or again for this show. Pretty much none of the matches really disappointed you in any way, outside of maybe how they decided to end the Kazarian AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe and Magnus match, but that was a nice little storyline builder going not necessarily into the pay-per-view, but going on to a future area there. And then, of course, the storyline between the whole wildcard tournament leading Magnus and Samoa Joe to a tag team title shot going into the pay-per-view. So that match itself was really well done on that aspect. It was just a little weird how it ended. But all in all, like I said before, the show itself was enjoyable. I actually enjoyed this episode of TNA Impact. It was a good way to go into the pay-per-view this Sunday, and hopefully the pay-per-view itself will be just about as good, if not better, than the show that you saw tonight. And for people who will be watching it, hopefully you'll enjoy it, and I will see you for the next episode of The Good, The Bad, The TNA Impact, and this time I will be doing a review of the Genesis pay-per-view this Sunday. So hopefully you enjoy, have a good weekend, enjoy not just your wrestling, but if you're a football fan, enjoy the playoffs, and have a great weekend.